All right, hey everyone, welcome back to Soul Aligned Living. I'm Dr. Toya Davis, and today we're getting into a topic that has really changed the way I understand everything about healing, alignment, and purpose. We're talking about your soul blueprint, what it is, how it works, and how knowing yours can completely shift the way you show up in your life, relationships, work, spiritual journey, all of the things. All right. If you've ever felt like something was off in your life, like you've done the personal growth but still feel stuck, it's likely, possibly, is because you're trying to live a life that is, like I talk about all the time, it is predicated around conditioning, right? It is designed, or you're living this life that is based on things that you've been taught, or programming, or conditions that aren't really yours. And what happens is that takes you out of alignment with your soul's actual design. And it doesn't mean that you don't get to have success. It doesn't mean that things don't come to you. It doesn't mean that you don't get to manifest. It just means that sometimes it's a little bit harder because we are working in opposition or not really fully aligned with your soul's actual design. And so when I talk about soul blueprint, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the way your soul was actually designed. All right. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So, how this is coming up for me is right now I am in my Akashic Mastery program. Akashic Mastery is for those students of mine who have done the Akashic Records 101. Maybe they've done the on demand video training. Maybe they've shown up and done the live 2 day course with me. Maybe they've done the book. Whatever it is, they have taken the first steps to understanding the Akashic records and being able to access, and they feel comfortable going in and out of their records, and they're like, you know what, this is great, I want more. And so Akashic Mastery extends the training, and I start to go into some of the readings and the structured readings that I offer my clients. Right, so we go through the exact processes and all of that stuff, and one of the readings that I offer is a soul blueprint reading. And I feel like, not even I feel, I know that this particular reading has shifted so much for so many people. Why is that? Like, comments that I've gotten after I've given people information about their soul blueprint is like, oh my gosh, thank you. I felt like, all this time I've been trying to do this other thing because that's what other people said I was supposed to do, right? Or, oh my gosh, knowing this about me makes so much sense, right? And so it's like giving people this information about kind of how their soul is naturally wired or anchored versus what they've been taught or what they've been taught to suppress, right? Imagine you had an innate knowing about something about yourself at the age of 3 or 4 or 5, but then everyone kept telling you that you needed to do or be something else. Over time, you forgot that natural knowing and you only know how to live out the thing that has been put on you, right? And you do it because that's what you've been taught, even though something doesn't feel quite right. So that's what happens. All right. So I think because I am in this Akashic Mastery cohort right now, and they just finished learning how to do the soul blueprint readings. Last week in class, we had some volunteers that showed up for the students to practice their soul blueprint readings on. And I can tell you that every student got the same type of feedback, like, oh my gosh, thank you, right? I've known this, I needed this, I feel this resonates. So today, all of that to say, as my really big intro to say that that's what we're talking about today. All right, so your soul blueprint is the energetic map your soul created before you incarnated into this lifetime. So remember, when we're talking about how we are at soul level, one of the overarching things that we have to always hold into our frame of reference is that the soul is eternal, right? It continues to come back time after time after time. And each time it's coming back, yes, it is wanting to learn or wanting to experience some new things. There are certain lessons that it's going to decide to work through. There are kind of key points or markers is like that are going to mark that experience. But at the core of the soul, right? There are things or imprints, I like to call them imprints. They're imprints that are consistent, that really make up who you are, right? It's like that thumbprint. It's like your thumbprint. There, when you put that thumbprint down, the ways and the grooves and all of that stuff that show up, that links that thing to you specifically, right? So even if I, put some paint on it or put some polish on it, or I don't know, sprinkle some dust. I don't know why I'll be doing that to my thumbprint, but go with me, right? Even if I did those things to make it look flashy or to give it a little razzle dazzle, right? At its core, the imprint and the print of it is the same. All right. So many people do soul blueprint readings, and I'm not here to talk about like what are the things that need to go into it and all of that. What I like to hold as the big picture framework is the soul blueprint are those things and aspects that are going to be consistent for you. Okay. Um, so your core gifts, your natural kind of talents and sensitivities. Okay. Um, Even your life lessons, right? These are going to be things that are going to continue to recur um, for you throughout your lifetime, challenges that will continue to show up and that you will grow through, right? Your energetic makeup. I like to call this our energetic archetype, right? So how you be, how you do, how you process, how you manifest, how you connect with others. All of those things are embedded and coded into our soul blueprint. Okay, it's like your soul's instruction manual. I say when we are living in our blueprint, things should show up with ease and grace. Okay, so what happens when you don't understand your blueprint is that sometimes life can feel confusing, right? We keep repeating patterns, we keep going down misaligned paths, we are comparing ourselves to other people whose design is totally different. I think last week's Tip Tuesday tip was comparison is the well, I always say comparison is the thief of joy. I worded it differently for Tip Tuesday, but that comes from not knowing who you are, right? Comparing yourself to someone else comes from this place of these preconceived things and these things that have been imposed on us versus understanding who you are. Okay. So here is actionable tool number one. I'm going to give you a reflection prompt. Okay. Where in my life do I feel like I'm swimming against the current? Okay. Where in my life do I feel like I'm swimming against the current? What this is going to answer, give insight to. What this is going to give insight to is where there could possibly be a misalignment, right? One of the things for me that I like in real life, real time do, if something is not going well, right? Meaning, if all of a sudden I am having a money block, if all of a sudden, like, there's a major health issue, like if things were going one way and then all of a sudden something happens, I use that as a moment to stop and say, okay, wait a minute, where am I currently out of alignment? What choices have I made? What things have I done that are going against my natural design that is creating kind of this blockage and this force and this flow? Now, yes, the world exists in opposites, so not all things all the time are going to be smooth sailing because the law says, everything that swings one way has to swing the other way. But there's a difference in understanding, but even in that swinging, right? Even in that pendulum, in that swinging momentum, there are things that allow us to get back to the upside a lot faster. And being in alignment is one of those things. All right. So, where in my life do I feel like I'm swimming against the current? What might be true about my soul that makes this path feel misaligned? And oftentimes, if we think back to our childhood, right? If we can think back to what felt natural, right, and just as a child, as opposed to kind of what we're doing now, that starts to give an indicator of where we can be out of alignment. All right. So here are the core components of your blueprint. Soul gift. These are those innate abilities and qualities that your soul came in with, like your intuitive wisdom, um, healing capacities, certain ways, like communication, structure, transformation, right? These are ways that you were naturally kind of oriented to show up. They often show up early in life. So, for example, someone whose innate abilities are linked or tied into the energy of structure, right? Um, from childhood, in childhood, as a child, they may have put systems in place like to just make life easier for them, right? They thrived better and well when there was a system in the house, right? I am not structure is not my energy, but I have a child who loves structure, right? And if I forced that child who needs and who thrives in structure, her literal energetic thing is part of that is structure. If I forced her to not follow or honor that, and I forced her to kind of live in my chaos, could she adapt? Yes. Would she adapt? Yes. Would she ever be as successful and as aligned and feel as at peace as she could have if I allowed her to live in structure and create structure? So I allow her at this point. She creates the structure and she brings it to me to integrate into my chaos. So she knows that I need to be responsible. Boom, 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 boom. Because my mama is going to be like, right? But because I recognize that her natural capacity, her natural energy had this thing, and I needed to honor that. Right. So when we're talking about like soul blueprint, our soul gifts, is that it can be as easy. Structure might be a different one. People be like, that's not a gift. But it is. It is an actual energetic archetype. But let's say, what's an easy one that people could to relate to easily? Communication. Communication is a really good one. You see those children who like at 3 or 4, right? They are able to get out. I don't say get out of stuff, but they're able to use their words in a way that supersedes the conscious level of where they are, right? They're able to get you to understand, to make choices. They're really able to show to make links around stuff, right? Their ability, their command of the word is really significant or really high. Okay. And we don't think about that as a gift. It could just be like, oh, her mama's smart or her dad's smart or whatever, right? And so we can dismiss that. And then as they grow up, we don't push them to continue to use their words, to read books. Hey, maybe you should write this thing. But they are linked, their energy, their soul gift is tied to that form of communication. And so when we don't continue to value that, honor that, or nurture that, again, it's not that things don't happen, right? Because we're always adapting. It's just that alignment, that ease that comes from when we are in our natural gifts, we don't get to utilize the benefits of. Okay. Life lessons. These are the growth areas your soul chose to master in this lifetime. I always like to highlight that a lesson isn't like, it's not like a test at school, right? It's not like, oh, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to get this right. It's literally, the life lesson is the soul says, this is an area that I feel I can grow in. Okay. And because I feel that I can grow in this area, I am going to have situations, or there will be situations where I get to experience this particular lesson. Learning how to speak your truth, learning how to release the scarcity mindset, learning how to be open and to receive, right? They can often feel like ongoing struggles. But if you can stop and say, okay, what's a pattern that continues to show up in my life? The times when things went the craziest, what was the thing that was there? Where was my growth edge? Where was my possibility to grow? So then you could say, okay, wait a minute. Every time I didn't speak my truth, I was put in this type of situation. So then you're like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Let me start speaking my truth. And then you notice that the lessons start to not appear, right? Because the thing with life lessons, which is different than like a particular block or a particular challenge, which just might be situational. The difference with life lessons is it will continue to show up because it is literally a life lesson, right? It is something that your soul chose for you to work through in that lifetime. So until you get to the point where you're able to identify, wait a minute, this is a lesson. This thing keeps showing up. How am I going to make a different choice that is in alignment with my soul's energy and my ability to grow? Okay. Manifestation style. Not everybody manifests the same. I'm not even gonna get on this one and manifestation. Just know that not everybody has the same manifestation things, right? So nothing is one size fits all. And sometimes when we're looking at things in popular culture, we take away the fact that things are soul specific, right? By soul specific, I mean, again, your soul is wired or predisposed to live, be, do, engage in a particular way. Sometimes we forget that and we try to take these kind of, wholesale approaches to things. And it's like, well, why doesn't this work for me? Because your soul is wired and anchored differently. Okay. And then the last one is kind of the soul level values and needs. And this is like energies that you can thrive in. Like, does your soul value or need lots of space? Do you need peace? Do you need 1,000 things happening, right? Do you at soul level require, not require, but do you at soul level naturally think bigger and farther than everybody else? Right. And so because of that, being in space that allows you to have these kind of wilder ideations is important, right? Do you value freedom? Is that a core value for you at soul level? At soul level, which is that is a thing for people. All right. So, all right, this is going longer than I wanted. So let me I'm gonna give you an exercise. Okay. You're gonna make you're gonna look at like four different categories, right? Okay. First one, soul gifts. What feels easy and true for me? What feels easy and true? And again, I always say, if we think back to childhood, that typically gives us a better indicator because life hasn't happened to us, right, by that point. Some of us are able to retain that, right? But what feels easy and true for me? Life lessons. What keeps repeating that's hard? What keeps repeating? I kept dating narcissists, right? And I had to be like, wait, what in the whole hell is happening right now? There was a life lesson in there for me. All right. Manifestation style. How do things show up best for me? Like when I'm working on something, when I'm wanting something, when I'm trying to get something to manifest. In the past, when I look at when things have come through the best and the fastest, what has worked? Did I write down goals? Was I very specific? Was I big picture? Did I need a particular set of actions? Was I ritualized? Was I random? Did I change up how I did things? Right? How do things show up best for me? And then the last one, soul values. When do I feel most alive or safe? Okay. And you can just start tracking these things, right? Start tracking them. There's a gnat. All right. So when you know your soul blueprint, you can stop fighting yourself. You stop chasing someone else's dreams. You stop wondering why things aren't working and start creating from alignment. You also have to give yourself permission to let go of who you thought you had to be. Okay. This again, for me, this is rooted in that undoing programming, ancestral, societal, and karmic programming, because that locks us into this mode of who we think we're supposed to be and the things that we're supposed to be doing, which oftentimes are in direct conflict to our actual soul's blueprint, which then just makes life harder. Okay. So when I say, often tell people, like, if I understand someone's soul blueprint, I literally know everything that I need to know. Like, I know how they're going to respond to something when they are not in alignment. I know how to, I'm going to say, get them on my side. Like, I know how they're going to show up in the world when I know someone's soul blueprint. All right. So, with that, um, if you are interested in having a soul blueprint reading, I don't do them often. I should say I don't have my calendar open to do them often. But if you are interested, I do have a few spots that I am opening up now for soul blueprint readings. You don't need, if you've had one before, you do not need another one. Because again, what did I say earlier? Soul blueprint, those aspects of you that do not change, they're consistent, right? My value at soul level is my value at soul level. It's going to be my value today. It's going to be my value tomorrow. It's going to be my value 20 years from now. Okay. So if you've done a soul blueprint reading before, you do not need to do another one. But if you're interested, you can go ahead and check the link out in the descriptions and book those. If depending on when you see this, right, you might click the link and it is no longer there. Again, I don't offer them. I don't offer them often. So when the calendar is open for me to do them, I do them. All right, and then when it's not, I don't offer them. So that's that. But I do have a lovely set of new Akashic Records, the mastery students who will be coming out, who hopefully will be offering soul blueprint readings. All right, if you're interested in learning how to read your own Akashic Records, there are also links for that in the description. Until next time, remember, you deserve to live a life that lights you up from the inside out. Stay aligned, liberated, and abundant. Peace.